doctor.
Joining millions around the world, TV personality Janez Vermeiren and his 6-year-old son Matisse are dedicated dog lovers.
So these are two boys over here. We've got Bully and we've got Mitch. We got Mitch about 3 years ago. And then we've got Bully over here, who's a boxer. He's a little bit younger. They're complete polar opposites of each other. He's a very needy dog and he's a very independent dog. I'd say he's slightly more intelligent. He listens well and he's a very good watchdog, but they've actually become a key unit in our family, and they've been excellent for Matisse because Matisse is an only child, and they're hours and hours of entertainment for him.
All pet owners know that dogs have many health and hygiene needs. Janez and Matisse paid the vet a visit to brush up on their skills.
Doctor, how important is hygiene?
Very important for the animal and for you as the owner and family. And it is important to deal with the ecto and endoparasite control regularly.
We all know that a dog's breath isn't the best. Is it important to brush their teeth?
I would suggest starting from a young age, they'll be more accepting of it, but certainly very important in terms of general health status. Not just our quality of life that they breathe in us, but also for the dog itself.
As far as diet's concerned, there's so many different products in the market. What is the most important thing for the dog?
Look, one certainly wants to make sure you get the right diet in terms of their age, and that's how they're all designed these days, in terms of optimal growth and optimal health. These diets these days are generally so scientifically designed that you don't need to add anything else. If one wants to, just as a treat, there's nothing wrong with that.
But Mitch is looking healthy.
He's absolutely wonderful. I don't know whether he's just brave or petrified.
He's my lean, mean running machine. How often should I deworm the dogs?
Every 3 to 6 months would be advisable.
What are the telltale signs that your dog or your child has worms?
You'll only really pick up if they've got worms if it's a very bad infestation. And normally it'll be loss of weight, uncomfortableness. But very often the dogs or your children may have worms that you don't even notice, and it hasn't built up a big population. So that's why it's advisable to deworm, whether you see worms or not, to make it a regular habit.
How do they pick up the worms?
Well, there's 2 different worms. One of them will go through the mouth, and another one which dogs have can actually, the little larvae can actually pass through the skin of the kids. So even if the kids are walking in the sandpit or on the sand, can actually pass through the skin into their bloodstream.
So from their feet into the bloodstream. Wow, that's crazy. Didn't know that one. So how do you go about deworming them? Is it a long process?
No, very easy actually. With the dogs, it's just a matter of a tablet or a couple of tablets depending on the dog's weight, which you can get from your veterinarian, and just give it as a one-off to the dog. And with children, there's something like Sipex, which comes in a suspension and a tablet, and just deworm the whole family, and we'll cover most of the worms.
Rather safe than sorry. Yeah.
Research has shown that pets have numerous benefits for children. In addition to keeping them active, pets teach children positive relationship skills and some important life lessons.
What, in your opinion, would be the best age to start to introduce a pet?
I'd say for both dogs and cats, probably about 4 years of age. At about 4, the child is able to empathize more with the animal, and they have a more developed theory of mind. So they can kind of understand or separate the animal's mind from their own, and they can kind of then relate to the animal more as something being separate to themselves. And that's quite important in respect. But there's no reason that a 2-year-old can't have a dog or a cat. Often certain dogs have, different temperaments that might suit a younger child than getting a dog that's maybe a bit more wily and active and that kind of thing.
What are the psychological benefits for a child having animals?
We can divide that into we could call them the physiological, psychological benefits and the more mental or mind benefits. And just to start off with the mind or mental benefits, emotional benefits, it often helps a child to relate to animals and wildlife better, and actually to other children at school. There's very good research that's shown that children that have pets at home, they tend to form very good relationships because of that empathy that they show towards their pets and then transferring that empathy. On the physiological sides, playing is very important. So playing with your pet helps the child to develop some of the fine motor coordination skills. And there's certainly a lot more that goes into that, like hitting balls and throwing a ball, which might not involve a pet. But certainly having a pet would help to develop those fine motor coordination kind of skills.
So kids, if you're trying to convince your parents that you'd benefit greatly by having your own pet, you can tell them it's just what the doctor ordered. Cipla will make it better.